I've had multiple people tell me over the last few months that the appeal of my channel is the conciseness, the range of content, and that I tend to steer clear of current year political tomfoolery. And while it's not my intention to directly violate any of these points with this entry, I will be using the backdrop of the current and recent controversies surrounding companies like Adobe, McDonald's, Microsoft, Ubisoft, and more to take a critical peek under the hood of corporate America. You see, there is a dangerously unrecognized blemish in the cardiac folds of our modern economy. In a word, it's a giant pyramid scheme. If you don't know what that is, here's a summary quote about it from Wikipedia. A business model which earns primarily by enrolling others into the scheme. However, rather than earning income by sale of legitimate products to an end consumer, it earns by recruiting new members with the promise of payments or services. As recruiting multiplies, the process becomes increasingly difficult until it is impossible, and most members are unable to profit. The article then goes on to say that, by virtue of their inherent instability and dishonesty, pyramid schemes are often illegal, an appropriately ironic turn of phrase considering my purposes here. What does this have to do with greed? Well, a publicly traded corporation doesn't operate the way a normal small business does. Rather than simply turning a profit by offering products and/or services, corporations must continually increase their profit margins, the difference between their revenue, or total money earned, and their total costs over a given period. Otherwise, their investors will cash out, causing the company to go under regardless of how well or poorly it performs in the actual market. In short, the stock price is all important. And that is entirely controlled by the shareholders, who want infinite growth, which is why you'll constantly hear them droning on about it in their press. Line must always go up or else the market will crash, so saith the meme. Needless to say, this is not physically possible, as there's only so much money to be had in any given industry or sector or an economy. But the executives have a fiduciary responsibility, meaning they are contractually obligated to make line go up, and the ways all of them have or will go about doing it are numbered 4, and they go as follows. First, consolidation. They'll work to amalgamate their entire industry under their sole banner, i.e., become a monopoly, be it through mergers, buyouts, hostile takeovers, or by simply squeezing their competition out of the market. Second, assimilation. Once there's no room left to grow within the industry, they'll work to assimilate other adjacent or relevant industries. Third, shrinkflation. When there's no more room to expand out, they must grow upward by maximizing consumer engagement, i.e., get the most out of each individual consumer, not customer because they don't see you as a customer, just an obstacle between them and your wallet, while providing as little value in exchange as they can get away with. Fourth, degradation, aka enshittification. This one's not of my own making. It's a real term coined by Cory Doctorow back in 2022, and though he used it specifically to refer to the degradation of online platforms, Google, Twitter, Amazon, etc., I believe it applies equally to all corporations dependent on stock market growth for solvency. And again, rather than me try to wring out my own explanation of the term from his, I'll just let the man speak for himself. Here is how platforms die. First, they are good to their users. Then they abuse their users to make things better for their business customers. Finally, they abuse those business customers to claw back all the value for themselves. Then they die. I call this enshittification, and it is a seemingly inevitable consequence arising from the combination of the ease of changing how a platform allocates value, combined with the nature of a two-sided market, where a platform sits between buyers and sellers, hold each hostage to the other, raking off an ever larger share of the value that passes between them. In my video on why systems always collapse, I described how a detached civilization, that is, a society composed largely of complete strangers with no direct ties to or investment in one another, tends to devolve into a codependent web, with opposite nodes feeding on rather than building off of each other, resulting in a frail dynamic where, should the balance of power ever tip in a specific direction, it results in tyranny, which results in strife, which historically always devolves into anarchy and/or neo-feudalism. And in another video, I talked about the abstraction of value and how this also ties into the fraying of social bonds as it reduces trust between individuals and so weakens the trust in the system as a whole. Links to both will be in the description. To tie it all up into a neat little bow, the end result of shareholder capitalism, which I'd like to point out is just regular capitalism with socialist toppings, is and will always be a total breakdown of the relationships between the investors, the producers, and the end consumers. This is not now, nor has it ever been, a sustainable system. I can't and won't give you any financial advice, but I personally don't plan on drowning with the rats when their ship finally goes down. What about you? Tell me below, and until next time, stay safe, Stay sane, and no matter what the moreless snakes say, don't waste your own precious kindling trying to stoke the embers of a fire that's drowned in dead. Peace.